Republican National Committee chairmanship race going on right now. Here is Ron DeSantis on the Charlie Kirk program yesterday. Now, Ronna McDaniels is actually sort of like arguably the more establishment candidate, but also the one that Trump wants. Whereas DeSantis...
Maybe, right? I mean, who knows?
I want everybody.
Right, it's like a heads I tail, heads I win.
I endorse Eric.
Situation.
I endorse whoever ends up winning.
Ronna Harmeet.
Harmeet Dhillon is his attorney.
Former, yes, like she's legally like advised him before. I don't know if she's currently his attorney, but she's been legal counsel for him.
And the third person running
is Mike Lindell.
is Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. Here is Charlie
choice.
Kirk interviewing Governor Ron DeSanctimonious.
Well, we've had 3 substandard election cycles in a row, 18, 20, and 22. And I would say of all 3 of those, 22 was probably the worst given the political environment of a very unpopular President Biden. Huge majorities of the people think the country's going in the wrong direction. That is an environment that's tailor-made to make big gains in the House and the Senate and state houses all across the country, and yet that didn't happen. And in fact, we even lost ground in the U.S. Senate. And so, I think we need a change. I think we need to get some new blood in the RNC. I like what Harmeet Dhillon has said about getting the RNC out of D.C. Why would you want to have your headquarters in the most Democrat city in America? It's more Democrat than San Francisco is. So I think you get it in real parts of the country. You attract people who want to live in those parts of the country, not D.C. insiders. But I do think we need some fresh thinking. And here's the thing, just practically speaking, you need grassroots Republicans to power this organization with volunteering and donations. I think it's going to be very difficult to energize people to want to give money, to want to volunteer their time with the RNC if they don't see a change in direction.
Wow, he is not terribly engaging, but also I like the idea of...
It's about recruiting to different metropolitan areas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't have the sauce, but that's mine, yeah.
It's an interesting theory. Why would you put the leadership of our political party in the nation's capital?
The most Democrat city. I mean, yeah, I think that being the nation's capital probably is why. Less to do with, that there's a lot of black people there that vote Democrat.
That's a weird calculation he's making. Well, his candidate, who is what's her name?
Harmeet Dhillon.
Harmeet Dhillon is really on a unity ticket now. As of 2 days ago, this is what she announced with the Mike Pillow guy, or My Pillow, I should say.
Unity.
Getting ballots into ballot boxes. Ultimately, that is what the responsibility of the Republican National Committee is to do, is to win elections. It has not been winning elections, and there's time for new leadership, and I believe that person is Harmeet Dhillon with Mike Lindell right by her side. Those 2 people together, they can land this plane right now for our country.
Ooh,
that's Caroline Wren, one of her biggest, allies. She's a long time big.
Oh, that's Caroline.
Yeah,
Wren.
that's Caroline Wren, her big Republican fundraiser, just in her place saying, "I support Harmeet Dhillon."
Where was Harmeet Dhillon?
Doesn't want to be seen with Mike Lindell.
Right.
I mean, also
Dhillon Pillow 2023.
DeSantis is that was such a weak argument for her because Harmeet Dhillon is the former vice chairwoman of the California Republican Party. So, I mean, talking about blue state roots, that's undercuts it. But I don't really think DeSantis means it. I think he just wants to differentiate himself from Trump.
Right.
I agree.
And he knows that Harmeet Dhillon is not going to win.
He's got to make that more pointed, though, because he missed a chance to take a shot at Trump, given we've underperformed 2018, 2020, and 2022.
He's still not sure if he's going to run yet.
And also, the way Trump is differentiating himself from DeSantis is much more politically savvy, coming out with the Medicare and Social Security statement saying, please don't cut it. I mean, and this is how DeSantis is trying to differentiate himself along the margins. Ronna McDaniel versus Harmeet Dhillon. I don't think anyone gives a crap.
Well, I'm curious, though, to what you guys are saying is that he's saying our 2022 was our worst cycle. I feel like if he was really trying to carve that out, he'd be saying except for Florida.
Yeah.
Like we did, like the only state that really ran up the score was Florida. And he's not even saying it to Charlie Kirk.
That's a great point.
It's the most like susceptible audience to it too. Like Charlie Kirk wants to this side of Dave Rubin. Like Charlie Kirk wants to be like, right. Like you were the person who actually won.
Yeah.
Because it also seems like the right wing media figures are far more out or agnostic on Trump than the garden variety Republican voter. Also,
I also got to think that like you're bringing Mike Lindell into the leadership, and even though they're gonna, I got to imagine that their idea is like, well, if we keep him inside the tent, at least he's pissing out instead of pissing in.
Right.
But he seems to me to be an unstable character, and that.
Why do you say that?
And
why? How could you say something so brave and yet so controversial?
I mean, look, the likelihood is that Trump is going to be the nominee, but if he's not, like, do you really want Mike Lindell around? I mean, I'm not even sure if you want him around if you're Trump, although, like...
It's a businessman.
He's a lunatic. And I that just seems like a bit of a wild card. Like, because he would go away. But think about, like, they must think that they can't win without Lindell. Why else would you bring him in? Now, I want you to contemplate this for a moment. I don't know how many people vote who are in the RNC. Do we know how many people there are? Like in the Democratic, the DNC is like what, 1,000 or something like that, or 700?
Yeah, he only has one endorsement of an RNC member, Lindell.
But they must think that he brings in a lot of people. Like, why would you do that unless you think that like he could get, I don't know, 50 votes, 30 votes, 20 votes?
Well, they're not going to win, and you know what Mike Lindell and Harmeet Dhillon are going to do? They're going to say that there was fraud in the RNC election process.
I certainly hope so, because that it is weird that the server that they use is in Germany.
Very weird. Very weird.
But that should be fun. And that race, that election is happening like literally right now.
Yeah, 10:30 Eastern. So so that's when they said they would start with the votes. So we should see some news at some point this afternoon.